My name's Ian Casselman. This is my drum set. I play in a band called Marianas Trench. We just released an album called Haven, and I'm going to take you through my gear. In case I get lost, you got to pay attention to that. This is where I'm supposed to go. Ian, go this way. I'm a Yamaha guy, Yamaha endorsed. Recording customs, I probably will never play another kit. Maybe I'll get one in a different color, but these are the best drums I've ever played, and the best drums that best drums that I've ever sounded that I've ever played. These are my surf green Yamahas. What do I like about them? They're easy to tune. They're the newer version that Steve Gadd, I guess, did a co-design, so they changed. If you're totally wanting to nerd out, this lug, they actually, I think the recording customs used to be more squared off, and these ones are more rounded, and they did that to change the weight of them. So they actually had different lug designs with different weights, and they wanted to see how it affected the shell resonance. So this is what they settled on. And Steve Gadd kind of knows what he's talking about, so you got to trust the guy. He's been around for a while. The guy's all right. So I do pretty traditional sizes: 10, 12, 14, 16. I got an 18 floor on the other side here. Most people these days tend to use 22s. I use a 20 because I find they're more. I like the way they feel. One of the cool things that Yamaha did with this drum, this size anyway, that I don't think I've seen other companies do, they're on a little bit of a riser. So you kind of got to get in there. There's an actual metal riser. Here, I can take this off. You can just see it right there. It's built on a little metal riser, just to probably let the drum breathe a little bit more, give it a bit more resonance. Maybe also because some drummers if you're used to a 22, it's going to be 2 inches higher, right? But yeah, they did it for a reason. It works.
Let's talk about heads, because everybody has their head in the game.
I am a Remo endorsed drummer. I like Remo the best. I find they provide for the most tone. You can get a drum to sing for the longest while being in tune without many overtones. I personally like clear Emperors. Maybe just last a little bit longer, cut down on potential overtones, and just got a little bit more flap to them, a little bit more like attack, and a little bit more fundamental note. We're changing every 2 to 3 shows. I'm not really a smacker or a digger. I don't. You'll see marks on drums, but you'll never see a dent when I play, or very infrequently will you see a dent. So I'm not like trying to push into the drum. I'm trying to make the tone come out of the drums. Spent enough years getting lessons and studying under pretty decent drummers and learning to get tone out of a drum without punching it through. My one guy I studied with, how did he kind of describe it? Like, instead of, you can either punch something, or it's like his analogy was always like a whip. Like you get power from speed and not from strength. So it's kind of like the quicker you come down, in a very relaxed motion, you come down with speed and quickness, and you'll get more tone and power that way than you will from just sheer strength. And your body will probably last longer. Roseau Head, same thing. I actually still have the original Yamahas on there. I believe they're all clear ambassadors. This snare is it's a custom snare made for me by Ron Dennett, who rules. He's a Vancouver guy. Probably the best snare builder. There's a lot of great builders, but if you had to choose a snare builder in the world, you would probably choose him. Super cool. If you haven't seen his throw, can you get it over here? These things are super cool. It's kind of a rotational throw, so you can have it that way, or this way, or up here. So I don't think any other drum company has that. It's kind of a thing that Ron came up with. It's it's something simple, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a chrome over brass shell. It's heavy. It's basically probably, like all the Black Beauties back in the day were brass. He is a fan of 8 lugs because he's kind of a bit more of a minimalist. The less hardware you have, the more a drum is going to kind of sing. So he'll make you, if you want to make one with actually I think he's even made some with 6, but they probably are a 13 or a 12. But he'll make you a 10 if you want. I know he made a snare for Danny Carey. Danny Carey likes 10s, like 10, lugs around the edge, but he's almost always an 8 guy, naturally. But if you want to make a 10, he'll make you a 10. My snare is a 14 by 6.5. These things are great. I got these from my buddies at Drumeo. What they are is just like a little leather clip-on kind of thing. It's got a little magnet in the middle, so if you put it on, the cool part is, what I like about it is, say versus moon gels, is when you hit the drum, a moon gel's always stuck on it, right? Whereas if you hit it, these things, like it breathes a little bit, so it's not like, I think you're gonna get a little bit more tone, a little bit more oomph out of the drum without it, and a little less dead. So if you're going for dead, I guess use a moon gel. But I much prefer these. You can get them in different sizes. One of the cool things about them too is if you want like a smaller size, you can just take half of it off. So it's got a little magnet there. Yeah, I guess you can buy them online at Drumeo. You can get a lot of cool stuff at Drumeo. I also got this stick bag from them. This is gonna sound stupid, but the coolest thing about this thing is just these little clips. Because a lot of them have the little, most stick bags have that little, it's like a little plastic, like carabiner. But these things are so fast, like you just hook on, you know what I mean? Like it's very fast and very easy. And a lot of the carabiners or whatever they have, they kind of get stuck and they're also too long and then your thing's sitting on the ground. But these were super well designed. They got like pouches everywhere on them, on the inside and on the outside. They're designed like to be a little bit waterproof, I guess probably beer proof for people who are, drinking on stage. I'm only a water guy on stage. But these are wicked. They're well made and they're gonna last. So if you want a good little stick bag or you want to know some of these things, go check out Drumeo for sure. Cymbals. Because we have 4 vocal mics on stage, and at times 5 if we have a guest. I am using the Sabian FRX cymbals, which are holier than thou, as you can see. They are designed to cut down on, they're designed to still have the attack, but then they get out of the way. So if you're, you gotta mix on stage, you get a little less and they hit and they get out of the way. We got the little baffles up front to help keep them out of the vocal mics. But these are wicked. I guess a lot of guys who play maybe small clubs or jazz clubs would use these, but we're getting good results out of them, and I love them. The sound guys will become your best friend for sure, because cymbals are the enemy. When it comes to like live sound, cymbals are the enemy. They just get everywhere. These, however, are not your enemy. They are actually friends. And the sound, like our sound guy, dare I say, at times has been like, I think I might want more cymbal. And I was like, interesting, where you never hear a live sound guy. If you're playing in a venue this size, they're never gonna ask for more cymbals. I think they only make these into 14, the hats, so I have a 14. All my cymbals, I believe, are the same. They're all 19s. I kind of like either 19s or 20s. I think they're about to come out with a 20, but they haven't yet. I believe they have 17, 18, 19. If I'm not mistaken, my ride is a 21, yeah, not a 20. Totally not drummer important, but the coolest thing is when you have a show with lots of lights, the lights shine through them. So if you're a total like showmanship person, it's actually kind of sweet because you get the lights shining through your cymbals, which is kind of weird. I don't really care that much about that, but it's actually kind of sweet. I use a Yamaha rack. Probably my drum tech Joel right there, who's an amazing, amazing drum tuner, probably doesn't love it as much. This may be a bit more of a pain to set up. They are very cool though for, in the case where we have these baffles for, trying to isolate the cymbals from the vocal mics. And when you have these, your overhead mics, you can just clip them right on. So there's way less stand, you look around, right? There's no cymbal stands, it's all just mounted on the rack. So it's kind of a cleaner look and probably easier overall for sound guy purposes. I use the new, all my hardware is Yamaha because I think it lasts the longest. Believe it or not, their chrome is probably the best because they use their same technology that they use on their motorbike parts because it's Yamaha, they make sweet motorbikes. So I find that Yamaha hardware will take the longest to pit if it ever does pit. If you leave anything out in the rain, it's going to weather eventually, right? But whatever they use, their hardware lasts the longest. So I'm a big fan of their hardware. I use a DW, one of their machined pedal, like not chain drive, or not direct drive, I like chain. I use Roland Electronics, the SPD SX Pro. Chris, our guitar tech, turned me onto these. He is the brains of the operation, where he's very good at programming and understanding them inside and out. You can do everything via computer, or you can do it right on the machine, but it's easy to do with computer. They rule. They're great. when it's dark, this is a simple, like weird little thing, but they have lights that you can actually program the color to. So when you're playing it in the dark, you can, you know, if you wanted to do your toms, you can do them all different colors, or you can have different snares or whatever you want, cowbell, et cetera, et cetera. You could just change the color, and it actually does help when it's, you know, you might be starting off a song and it's pitch black and you can't see it, right? So it's a little thing, but it's very handy. They also have your like song title and information and all that kind of stuff right on there, so it's very handy. I'm using the Roland BT1s, I believe they're called. They're pretty sweet because they can mount right on your drum if you have one here. I have a song where I use a cowbell, so I have that over here. Take up a little less room than maybe like a pad, so you don't have to have, you can mount it right off your stand. Very handy. These are pretty wicked. It's a KT10. The feel is good. It's very, you know, everybody's pretty picky about kick pedals, but you can't be too choosy because there's not that many E-kit pedals, but these are quite good. They're also, there's no official beater, so you don't have to have like an actual E-kit, you know, it'll get in the way of your kick drum. And sometimes, I think I used to have like a double pedal with a slave, or using the slave side to hit like a pad, but these are much easier to maneuver right where you need them, so to speak. I guess you could have one over here if you were one of those guys, like a clave player, if they're using, you know, they'll use like a wood block trigger or like a cowbell trigger. They would work very well over on this side. So I'm not a triggers guy overall. I find you're better off trying to get good tuning, good heads, and work on your playing, and then you can get a more musical tone and a more musical approach out of your drums. We do, however, have a kick drum trigger. We'll use that just to beefing up the kick sound, because I like a 20-inch kick. Sometimes they're a little bit smaller and harder to get low end out of, so we will use samples to beef it up. Also, after we finished mixing our album, we took the kick sample. We have a musical approach with our mixing. We took all the kick sounds are different song to song, so we actually took the samples from each song and we mix it in with our acoustic kick sound, just to make each sound a little bit more like the album. And then our old songs, we picked out some generic or more generic kick samples just to give it a little bit of extra beef. But kick samples can help out for sure with your with getting a little bit bigger tone if you need it. I am a Vic Firth endorsee. I like the Freestyle 5B because they are thicker and longer, but they're not too, I guess it's an acorn tip, and it's not too beefy at the end. So they still have, it's almost like just a regular 5A or 5B that's just been beefed up a little bit. So it's still got good response. It's not a round heavier tip, and it's not a heavier taper. So it's still got a lot of response, and you can still play with a lot of speed without getting tired, and without kind of overdoing your grip. Once again, this has been a gear rundown with Ian Casselman from Marianas Trench. Our new album Haven is out. We're touring it right now. We'll be touring it in the future. You're always able to check out tour dates on Instagram, Spotify, any of our social medias. You can just Google Marianas Trench or M Trench, and you'll find us there. Thanks for listening.